The Peach Bowl will be a battle between two teams that have been really, really good, but just haven't been good enough to get over the hump. Number 11 Ole Miss and number 10 Penn State both entered the game at 10-2, but have both been unable to beat the top dogs in their conference. Ole Miss unable to beat Alabama. Penn State once again falling to Ohio State and Michigan. So the question now is, which team will get the best consolation prize there is, which is a New Year's Six bowl game, an 11-win season, and tons of momentum heading into 2024? That's the question we're going to answer today. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. We're so glad you could join us today to break down this battle between the Rebels and the Nittany Lions. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below, including our expert picks, that holiday special there for you guys. It's never too late to sign up. It's never too early to sign up for those expert picks. Some of the best picks in the entire country for one of the lowest prices in the entire country. We want you to check it out today and become a member of our GE Nation. Again, the link for that down in the description below. So let's take a look at Ole Miss and Penn State. We mentioned it. Two teams have been so good, but just unable to get over the hump. Ole Miss, guys, they are 28-10 under the last 3 years with Lane Kiffin. 2 10-win seasons in that span, but unable to get to the SEC championship, unable to get to the college football playoffs. Penn State, they are having their fifth double-digit win season under James Franklin. They're playing in their fifth New Year's Six bowl game under James Franklin, but have yet to make the college football playoff and have won the Big Ten just once. So it's great. They're playing good ball. They're playing consistent ball, but they want to break through. Both these teams want to break through and get to that next level. They just haven't been able to do it, which is why I find this matchup so interesting and so ironic that they're pitting these two teams against each other. Take a look at this matchup. We'll start on the offensive side of the ball with Ole Miss. Obviously, the offense is Lane Kiffin's strength, right? He is a phenomenal offensive mind, and that translates to the results on the field. 15th overall offense in the country, averaging over 455 yards per game, 277 through the air, 179 on the ground, and they've got so much talent across the board. Jackson Dart has taken a major leap forward in 2023, throwing for nearly 3,000 yards, 20 touchdowns, just 5 interceptions, taking great care of the football, also rushing for nearly 400 yards and 7 touchdowns, so 27 total touchdowns for Jackson Dart. Quinshon Judkins, had a really slow start to the season, but he figured himself out, has over 1,000 rushing yards on the year and 15 touchdowns, and they've got 3 wide receivers with over 700 reception yards in Trey Harris, Dayton Wade, and Jordan Watkins. This is an Ole Miss offense, guys, that can beat you so quick, have massive big plays, a 1 or 2 play drive, but can also wear you down. Can go on a long, slow, methodical drive. They can do it either way, and that's what makes this team so dangerous. They've got so much size, they've got so much speed, they've got so much great play calling, but it's not just an offense that relies on the home run ball. They can do it both ways. That's a very tough test for any defense to go up against. You look at Penn State's offense, right? They are nowhere near that of Ole Miss when it comes to just the flashiness, right? They're not nearly as flashy. They're a little bit slower, a little bit more methodical, but they get the job done, right? This is a team that's averaging 37.2 points per game this year. 391 yards per game, significantly less than that of Ole Miss. Only 204 passing yards per game, but averaging nearly 187 rushing yards per game, which is 25th in the entire country. And they do that because they've got a great 1-2 punch at the running back position with Katron Allen, who has over 850 rushing yards this year, and Nick Singleton, who has over 700 rushing yards this year. Drew Aller, guys, has been really good in his first year as starter with Penn State, has over 2,300 yards, 23 touchdowns, and just 1 interception. So talking about taking care of the football, neither of these quarterbacks really makes too many mistakes, but Aller and Penn State have not taken many shots down the field. They have not relied on many big passing plays. They've relied on just, short to intermediate routes. We don't really see Penn State taking those shots, relying on those big plays. They want to grind up the clock. They want to beat you up front on the ground, and then allow Aller to kind of, pick you apart slowly, I guess. Not deep, not big plays, slow and methodical. That has been Penn State's method all year long, and it's worked out for them. They're 10-2. Although it did not work out for them in their 2 losses, only having 191 passing yards against Ohio State to 49 rushing yards, and then against Michigan, only 74 passing yards to 164. Penn State, guys, to work offensively, they need balance. The Nittany Lions need to find a way for the run game to complement the pass and vice versa. If they don't have balance, it's not going to work, and they're going to lose the game. So if you're Ole Miss, that's your task defensively, is find a way to force Penn State to be one-dimensional. Find a way to take away the run and force Drew Aller to win the game through the air. That would be my recipe. Because while Aller has proven he's a solid quarterback, has great stats, takes great care of the football, he's not a guy that if you say, hey, you got a minute and a half to go 80 yards to win the game, he's not a guy I want doing that. He's not a guy I have faith in doing that. Just being bluntly honest. So that's what you got to do if you're Ole Miss. Force Penn State to be one-dimensional. The Rebels are going to be without one of their best edge rushers in Cedric Johnson, 5.5 sacks on the year. Outside of that, the defense is pretty much at full strength. They're giving up 372 yards per game, 220 through the air, 152 on the ground. That's your key number. The fact that Ole Miss really isn't all that great in terms of stopping the run. And if you can't stop the run against Penn State, you're in trouble because the run game will set up the pass. It will set up the play action with Drew Aller, who can pick you apart on those type of plays, on those short to intermediate play action routes. That's what they want to rely on. Look at Ole Miss a little bit deeper, guys. They have only held 3 opponents to under 100 rushing yards on the year. 3 of their 12 opponents they've held to under 100 rushing yards. That was Mercer, Arkansas, and Mississippi State. So the FCS opponent in week 1 and the 2 worst teams in the SEC West. Nothing really to hang your hat on. You know, you look at what they've done in their losses. They allowed 131 rushing yards to Alabama. They allowed 300 rushing yards to Georgia. They allowed 150 yards or more in 7 of their 12 games this year. Ole Miss really isn't all that great at stopping the run. They're certainly not good at stopping it against teams that know how to run, against teams that do have strong offensive lines, both of which Penn State has and are able to do. So that's a concern if you're Ole Miss defensively. If you want to win the game, you've got to find a way to slow down the 1-2 punch of Kaytron Allen and Nick Singleton. You look at Penn State. Defensively, they've been one of the best in the country all year long. And actually, I should say they're not one of the best. They are the best. They have the number 1 overall defense in the country, giving up just 223 yards per game. They're 4th in the country versus the pass, giving up just 154.9 passing yards per game. They're 2nd against the run, giving up just 68.3 rushing yards per game. And yes, we know they lost their defensive coordinator, Manny Diaz. He is off to take the head coaching job at Duke. So that's obviously a loss, not having your leader on the sideline or in the press box coaching up your defense for this game. But I still think Penn State is going to be just fine. They have been really, really stingy all year long. Even in their losses, they've been stingy. It was really the offense that was the issue for Penn State against Ohio State and Michigan, not their defense. They did everything they could. Penn State's defense against Ohio State held the Buckeyes to just 20 points and 79 rushing yards. Against Michigan, they held the Wolverines to just 24 points and 287 total yards. Held them under 300 and only 60 yards through the air. This is a Penn State defense, guys, that's really, really good. People aren't talking about it nearly enough. They have 49 sacks on the year. Ole Miss has allowed 26 sacks. The offensive line kind of up in the air at times for the Rebels. Will they be able to handle the pressure from Penn State? Will they be able to block Penn State up front? Who wins that battle in the trenches? Not just in terms of pressuring the quarterback, but also in terms of who can create enough holes for their running back, Quinshon Judkins, and obviously Penn State and their core of running backs. The key for Penn State is getting pressure on Jackson Dart, is forcing him into a mistake or two. Only 5 interceptions on the year for the quarterback that has taken that significant stride from 2022 to 2023. Get after him. Force Ole Miss into 2nd and 3rd long situations. Force them into a handful of mistakes. And obviously continue to play like you have in the secondary, like you have all year long. 4th in the country versus the pass. If you make Ole Miss one-dimensional, you will beat them. While the Rebels do not rely on balance as much as Penn State does, they want it. They absolutely want it. And that's what has made their offense so insanely dangerous. And if you look at the games they've lost against Georgia and Alabama, the balance was lost in those games. Alabama and Georgia took away that balance. And Ole Miss lost both those games in pretty dominant fashion. So what's going to happen, guys? In this Peach Bowl, a great game, 2 10-2 teams, number 11, number 10, tough call. I mean, to me, very even teams, we should say. But ultimately, I got to go with Penn State. I've got to go with the Nittany Lions for so many different reasons. I think the run game can get going against a very mediocre Ole Miss defense. And Ole Miss defense is improving year by year under Lane Kiffin, but not quite there yet, and certainly proved this year they're not quite there against the run. I expect the Penn State running game to really get going, which is going to set up some really easy pitch and catches for Drew Aller. Significantly, Penn State owns that defensive advantage. They own that major defensive advantage over Ole Miss. So that's the second part. I think the Penn State defense does enough in terms of slowing down Jackson Dart, in terms of slowing down Quinshon Judkins. Number 1 defense in the country. Is it going to all of a sudden fall apart in the final game of the year? Thirdly, James Franklin, guys. He's 3-1 in New Year's 6 bowl games. 3-1 in New Year's Six bowl games at Penn State. He's been here before. He knows how to get his team motivated. He knows how to get the most out of his teams in these situations, even when they are a disappointing bowl or a disappointing in-season result. This is a big, big game for the Nittany Lions. They're going to come into this game looking for their second straight New Year's Six bowl win, and they're going to get it. Give me Penn State to clinch another 11-win season, to send Ole Miss home with yet another New Year's Six bowl loss, losing in the Sugar Bowl a few years ago, now in the Peach Bowl here. But both of these teams looking forward to 2024, and they will both be legitimate contenders for the new 12-team playoff. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube, taking Penn State to win the Peach Bowl over Ole Miss. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below. Become a member of our GE Nation by signing up for those expert picks. You do not want to miss out, guys. One of the best deals in the entire country. Never too late, never too early to sign up. Go check it out. The link down in the description below. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.